It is cold outside. And when it's cold outside, there's a few things that we all love, and one of them is chicken noodle soup. So I'm gonna show you how to make an amazing chicken noodle soup. Very simple, easy to follow, but super delicious, and we're gonna get right into it. Now here's what you need. You can't have chicken noodle soup without your chicken. Now I'm going to use chicken thighs. If you prefer to use chicken breast or another protein, you do what you feel you enjoy the most. But why I love chicken thighs, they're tender, they're juicy, they're extra little fat, they're not as lean. It just adds more flavor. And you're gonna also need your aromatics. Aromatics are super important in this dish. You want your fresh carrots, you got your thyme, whole onion, we're gonna dice that up. Your fresh chilies if you wanna add a little heat and a little warmth to it. And of course your salt, pepper, and garlic for the seasoning, that's all you need. And you get your fresh celery out of it. Now let me tell you, another aromatic is of course your parsley. Now we're gonna put this in at the end because you gotta have some of that freshness in there. Now you're gonna notice I'll probably cook a little bit in the dish and then add a little bit at the end as a garnish, which of course is good, but that's my choice. Of course you can't sear and sweat out these ingredients without adding the butter flavor to it. That's why we have the butter. And of course chicken stock and or bone broth. Now I prefer to use 3 parts bone broth, 1 part chicken stock. You feel free to combine that however you like, but the most important part is to infuse flavor, and this chicken noodle soup dish is off the hook. Now I'm all about flavor and deliciousness, but I'm also all about simple. You wanna get your carrots and your celery, get your onion and you dice it up real good, and that is the base for a successful meal. Now once you get your vegetables and dice them all up and get them just like you like it, you wanna begin by sweating them. Add you a little bit of olive oil, and you wanna mix that olive oil with a little bit of butter. That smells good already. Once the vegetables become fragrant and you add the thyme and everything in there, you wanna season it a little bit. Now I'm just adding a little bit of salt, pepper, and garlic. If you wanna remove the garlic and just add salt and pepper, that's your call. But you just take about a tablespoon or so, put it in there, mix that in there a little bit. All right, now you got this seasoned up real good, so I'm going in with my bone broth. I like a lot of the liquid, so when the vegetables and everything in there and the chicken, it can kind of absorb up that liquid. So you wanna make sure you have enough liquid in there, which is very flavorful, especially if you're gonna do something like add a little rice on the side and make it more of a hearty meal. Now, as I mentioned, the bone broth is already in there. I got it just the amount I want, and now I'm just gonna go in and add the chicken stock on top of it. If you follow my channel often, or if this is your first time, I'm gonna let you know, I love fusion. I love the emergence of multiple flavors in order to give it some warmth and some depth. So what I've done is cut up a little bit of chilies, and I'm gonna drop a little bit of red chilies in the bottom. Now this does not make it hot. For those of you that say, I don't want a lot of heat, what it does is warm that sauce up really nice and gives it a nice heat, but a soft, warm undertone, so that when you add your noodles and everything in there, it's like summertime in your belly. Now you can actually take raw chicken at this time and drop it in there and let it sit 20, 30 minutes. But again, I love fusion of flavor. So what I'm gonna do is take my chicken and sear it up a little bit just to get a little brownness of it, and then we'll bring that back to put it in here. All right, now we have this searing up really nicely on one side. We wanna flip this over. You got a nice color on that chicken. Look at that, delicious. Now, one of the things I do to impart extra flavor is I ladle a little bit of that fresh bone broth and chicken stock inside of the vegetables. I put it in here and now I pour it in the pan to just add some extra juiciness and flavor to that chicken. Look at that. Now we're gonna let this only cook for about 45 more seconds on the other side, and we're gonna put this all in the pot and then we're gonna let it simmer and dump all the remaining of that juice out of there. Just like that. Now we're gonna let all of this sit here and let it slow simmer for about 20 minutes. Now what this does is not only it allows the chicken to cook further all the way through, but it allows that chicken to get really soft so that later on we can shred this chicken and put it back in before we add the noodles and before we plate this. So let's wait 20 minutes and we'll be back and we'll finish this up. Now that the chicken is cooked for about 20-25 minutes, it's nice and tender. All you wanna do is get you 2 forks. That's the method I prefer. And you wanna shred this chicken apart. While you're shredding this apart for about 8 minutes, you wanna place your noodles. I'm using egg noodles inside of the pot, and you wanna get those nice and al dente before we take the shredded chicken and put it back in the pot to bring it all together. See, one of the things I enjoy about cooking is when you know the difference. So if we had just taken these whole chunks of chicken and then placed it in the chicken noodle soup, there may have been some great flavor, but the mouthfeel wouldn't have been there. And by shredding all this chicken up, this chicken will kind of just float around and kind of marry in between the noodles. And then so the mouthfeel, when you actually taste it, the texture of it makes it much more enjoyable to eat. So I would say take the extra few minutes to shred your chicken up. The kids will love it as well. And it's just very, very, very good. All right, we're about 8 minutes or so cooking your pasta, and I think we're ready to take that shredded chicken and put it all inside. All you want to do now is add that shredded chicken and combine that all with that cooked pasta, all your aromatics. And now what we want to do is add some of this fresh parsley in there, and I just throw it all in there. I just break it all up because you want that freshness in there. This is what really, really enhances that flavor and makes it a very delicious meal. It's the fact that it's all fresh. Look at that. And as I mentioned earlier, just to kind of balance that heat out a little, balance the flavors out, I want a little more warm. So you just take a little pinch of red pepper flakes, throw that in there. And perhaps at the end, maybe let's say a couple of chilies, throw them in there. Now you don't have to add that in there, but I've done this many times. This is a family secret here that I'm sharing with you. Now just like life, a good dish is all about balance. And adding a touch of lemon juice is just, the acidity really brings these flavors together. So I'm gonna take a whole lemon actually. It is so good. If you prefer lime over lemon, you may also use that as well. In my experience, I have concluded that I enjoy the lemon flavor much more. Now, right before you plate this up and serve it, you have to taste the broth, and you want to taste it to make sure it has enough salt in there. Now, somebody got to taste it, so it might as well be me. That's how you want your chicken soup. Man. Now you want to plate this up, get you a nice bowl. I prefer to take a couple chilies, slide them on the top like so. Get you a little bit of fresh parsley. I know we cooked some parsley on the inside of that, but you want to add that fresh element to it. Then you get you a little bit of black pepper. There you go. Look at that. I thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this, and I hope your family, like my family, gets a lot of uses out of this, and it warms you up like it does me. This is a delicious recipe that the whole family will enjoy. If you have an event at your job, if you have a loved one that's sick and not feeling good, the freshness, the flavor of this definitely warms the soul and makes the winter time much more enjoyable. Enjoy, leave a comment, don't forget to subscribe, and if you want to know about my SPG rub that I also use in here with the salt, pepper, garlic, there's another video down here as well. See you guys next time.